Hey guys, what's up? My name's Splaff, and today I'm going to just go over a few parts of this build in a short little explanation. Currently recording this from my lounge. We've got a cute little Christmas tree up here. I wanted to do pretty much anything I could to avoid recording in my room because I have wallpaper you'd find in your grandma's house, and I didn't particularly want to get flamed for it. Anyway, just wanted to thank Elliot and Solo. I know they've already brought out a video and it's on Reddit, and I'm sure many people remind me of that in the comments, but I wanted to also post a video because my version's Slayer, and I believe Slayer to be the superior form in pretty much all content apart from Delve. Mostly because Life Leech instances being 20 seconds long can be a little bit uncomfortable. Slayer has this lovely node of 100% increased maximum recovery per life leech. Me and Elliot and Solo, we're on good terms, you know. I'm not upset that they brought a video out first. Like, I could have released this a few days ago, but I wanted to put the effort into learning how to make, you know, a half decent video, and yeah. So, if this support gem here worked, Divergent Life Leech, Berserker would be superior in every single way. However, it doesn't at all, and I'm not going to complain about it being bugged because I'm pretty sure Strength of Blood in the first place is bugged. Never actually worked with the recovery rate until about apparently 3.15. GGG did some changes to how Life Leech is calculated, and for some reason it now works with recovery rate, which will not stay after this league. It's pretty obvious it's going to get nerfed. GGG hates immunity builds. Yeah, it's gone. This build will not function after Scourge. Anyway, this is not a guide. My gear is pretty unobtainable, right? This is like the end of the league. I've had a pretty good league, farmed an absolute shitload of expedition stuff, got a Mage Blood from Gwenin. You know, I really wanted to make a pretty crazy build with crazy gear for the end of the league, and when I saw the original Strength of Blood video, I thought, you know what, this can probably relatively easily be combined with the Self-Temp Chains Juggernaut Boneshatter build, and I was correct. Elliot and Solo also saw that, so this is why we've both ended up with relatively similar builds, honestly. Anyway, yeah. Most of the stuff is unnecessary. You do not need 2 1-passive voices, you do not need 5 megalomaniacs, and you definitely don't need this body armor with one single mod, and I think it's quite funny that I'm using a chest with one mod. Anyway, yeah. So, let's talk about how trauma stacks in the video are in general quite low, and the reason is simply nothing survives. You can't stack trauma on what's dead. If things die, then there's nothing wrong with that. It can go up to 2700 plus stacks. Use one of those clips in the beginning of the video of me hitting Uber Elder when it's invulnerable. Yeah, so just wanted to go over the pod real quick. I'm currently using a very specific version of this build which only works with the chest. Elliot actually has a pretty good tree where he stacks Transcendent Fleshes with a Lethal Pride in the Scion area, then passes over to Supreme Ego over here. But this version with the voices and the body armor allows me to grab quite a bit more damage actually. I've got this fire damage cluster crit here, this damage with Lethal Pride. Yeah. Divined, well, I didn't divine. I bulk bought a bunch of Lethal Prides to get this double damage here because it helps with, it's actually not on my tree at all. How do you add this in? Double damage. Anyway, yeah, now that's that. Yeah, I bulk bought a bunch of Lethal Prides to get this double damage here. It actually is pretty useful because we're using an alternating scepter which has Secrets of Suffering, and the double damage helps a lot with getting bigger ult ailments on bosses because we're using Mantra of Flames to stack fire damage, right? We don't actually have that much cold damage, but we have an enchant on the boots and we have Replica Abyssus. This is all of our cold damage. It actually gets surprisingly high, I'm sure you can see in time to the video. Even if, like, during the start of ramping with the simultaneous feared clip, I was getting up pretty high brittles on the bosses even without hitting very hard. And a lot of that comes from stuff like this, the increased effect of non-damaging ailments, and we have a Starlight Chalice here, which also has some ailment effect. So yeah, a bunch of this stuff is unnecessary. You don't even need the Squire, honestly. You don't need a weapon like this. You can get a similar version of this build with one of Elliot's trees working on probably about, I'd imagine, 100 exalts. But it's probably going to get more expensive after these two videos, and you do need to pay somebody to run lab to get a replica Abyssus with additional trauma. I would recommend going crit. It has much more damage, even on a relatively lower investment, just because stuff like power charges from power charger and critical and a diamond flask, they're just free crit. Right? You get quite a lot of crit for nothing, and brittle is broken, all ailments are broken, nobody's disputing that. So let's talk about what this build can't do. And the truth is, not a whole lot. It can do pretty much everything. The only things it can't do are maps with less recovery and no regen, and somewhat uncommonly, some like empowered breach stones roll less recovery, and there's nothing you can do about that. If they roll empowered recovery, it's a brick. You have to get your friend to run it, or just leave the map and say, whatever, not my problem anymore. In terms of no leech and less recovery on maps, the only thing you can really do is roll over them, or you know, if it's corrupted, trade it for an uncorrupted map. It happens. Like, most builds have something they can't do. This build can actually do Simulacrum, and I wouldn't recommend doing it on like Berserker, because Berserker has lower leech instances and it can get pretty uncomfortable. This version, it's not the best at Simulacrum. I would recommend capping your Temp Chains effect without Coward's Legacy if you want to run Simulacrum. This is because when it comes to looting between waves, with Coward's Legacy, I think I only have 25-second leech instances, which is still, it's manageable, right? You pick up your loot, you walk to your stash, you pop some worms, you put your loot in the chest, you start the next wave, pop a couple more worms, you're not going to die. However, one thing you do have to be very mindful of in Simulacrum is Simulacrum has a debuff called Wasting Touch. It can stack up to 10. It's never ever going to reach 10. I've never even seen it go over 2. I've done quite a few Simulacrums now. It can go over 2, which will pretty much instantly kill you. But if you're relatively aware of your debuffs, you can see it pop up. I can't remember what it looks like. It's like some guy with some red stuff in his chest. It's probably his heart. That would make sense, right? Because it affects life recovery rate. If you see that buff, immediately leave slime away from the mobs that are hitting you, let it drop off, and you should be good. So right now I have about 100%, or I mean 200%, just over 200% recovery in my life. When it comes to Simulacrum, it is a good idea to Wasting Touch proof your build a little bit. What I do when it comes to Simulacrum is I just swap my belt out for the Flow Untethered. With Fertile Catalysts, you can get this to 18% increased life recovery rate, which means that I can tank, you know, 2 debuffs. At 2 debuffs, I still won't die. It says here I'm not in capped, but it's using an undivined int ring. But yeah, for you, I would recommend getting a replica Doedries, and yeah, running a couple more Doedries Apathies. Anyway, when it comes to AoE, this build can actually get some pretty surprising AoE. You can see in the Flawless trailer that I did, I swapped some things out, like I swapped this melee damage out for the strike skills target additional enemies from 30% further away. I dropped Wed for Divergent Ancestral Call. Oh, Distro Call with Divergent Quality, which has +4 to melee strike range. This gives you quite a lot more melee strike range, and what else did I do? I swapped out this critical mastery for stuns from critical strikes of 100% increased duration. You can see the damage drops a bit, and I would actually... Oh wait, no, I also grabbed this, because this has AoE and strike range. You can see that the damage drops from about 30 billion DPS at 2,750 trauma stacks, so this is still so excessive. Like, you do not need this damage. You do not need 80 billion. You'll probably have much less with worse gear. You're still going to be hitting, honestly, like 15, 20 billion DPS with lower investment setup. And honestly, the AoE is pretty impressive. The way Boneshatter works is based on stun duration. When you hit a mob, it has a little explosion. So getting stuff like increased stun duration increases the AoE on Boneshatter by quite a significant amount. When you have Ruthless and high attack speed, you have this line, Ruthless Blows with supported skills deal 126% more melee damage. And also the Ruthless Blows with supported skills that are based on duration of 0.8 seconds. This causes quite a significant blast from Boneshatter. It, like you could see from Flawless trailer, it wasn't bad at all. Actually, this build ends up having pretty good clear speed if you want to build it for it. And at the end of the day, the damage is so high that you can drop all of this damage stuff and just put it into AoE and weapon range. Anyway, I don't think there's much else I want to say, so yeah, thanks for watching my video. I put quite a lot of effort into it. I'd like to make some more videos, so hopefully next league I can find a build that I enjoy playing. It probably won't be anywhere near as strong as this, and it'll probably be pretty stupid, but yeah, hopefully I can find something that I'm happy enough with to make a video around. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys later.